Hey everyone, welcome to today's edition of Daily Block Party. Hey Nisa.
Hey Pam, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good.
We're excited to talk about this article today in Forbes about real estate becoming a digital asset, 5 trends for the coming decade and the coronavirus effect.
Very relevant.
Absolutely. So this article talks a lot about how the need to go out physically and sign a real estate transaction is a thing of the past, both with buyer, seller, and with agents and realtors.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
I mean, for sure, that was not something that just started happening because of coronavirus, but I mean, now, yeah, it's totally every sector, I think, has to start thinking about how to completely digitize their business, even large transactions, life-changing transactions like that, because um, it, it seems like when coronavirus is taken care of, it's not like it's going to be the last uh, virus to hit. So this is just the right time to look into that. But I mean, I we can talk about the details of this, but I don't know if I would ever feel comfortable making such a large transaction fully online. But I mean, if I had to, what do you think, Nisa? Would you ever consider doing that? Do you think the technology that they talk about is sophisticated enough that you would feel comfortable making that big decision like that?
I do, because now they're adopting blockchain. So online sales are becoming possible because there's easy data access and there's privacy. So property transfer process is becoming transparent and convenient. And to the extent that prop tech is a marriage of fintech and real estate, and there's been a ton of innovation in fintech, I think it's definitely low-hanging fruit that real estate is going to follow. And I think the coronavirus has just accelerated that because agents have been quarantined, right? And they're not showing properties. And so if you need to buy and sell a property, then you're going to have to resort to using these technologies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. And I know something that the article mentions is 50% of homeowners are going to be millennials, which I am one of those, and Gen Z, which is
Right.
crazy. I mean, so maybe, I mean, I think that only helps the acceleration of this technology because um, baby boomers probably would never even, like my parents never even dream of. I mean, my parents don't even like buying like groceries online. I don't know if they even really have yet. So so for sure, millennials and Gen Z especially, everything they do is pretty much online these days. So if they're going to be 50% of the market, then it's really perfect timing.
Yeah, and they're used to transacting this way. Like, look at Airbnb. I know that it's not home ownership, but
Oh, that's such a good point. I use Airbnb a lot in the last 2 years or so. Like, um, I don't think I've ever booked anything internationally, but I mean, when I was moving back to LA and I needed an Airbnb for like 3 weeks so that I could like hunt for an apartment instead of like just unknowing and like crashing on a friend's couch. I just didn't want to do that. And I did it like all like virtually. I only looked at photos too. And I didn't even do like a tour or talk to somebody through Zoom. It was really just trusting. There's a lot of trust that goes into that process, just trusting that what I saw was real, like all the reviews that I saw. So that's a really good point that I have done that. And it sounds like, especially with the implementation of blockchain, there's even there trust is kind of like taken out of the equation because everything is like on the ledger.
right. And the other thing is, what it allows is for the transaction fees to drop. So
Mm-hmm.
everything that you would normally pay in manual labor, like recording fees, escrow fees, auditing fees, split fees, etc., agent fees, a lot of that can be eliminated. So if you're tokenizing a real estate property,
Mm-hmm.
then you can fractionalize it too. You can have little pieces of the property available for different buyers to buy. So you're taking a liquid asset and making it liquid and tradable when you do this. And everything's trackable through use of blockchain technology. So
Can you?
you,
So you lost me when you said making something illiquid liquid. Can you, like, what does that mean?
Yeah, sure. So basically, let's take a large commercial building that's worth $100 million, let's say. And you want to invest in it because it's a trophy property in a hot area and you think it's going to appreciate. Well, you might not have been able to invest in it before because the threshold for what you would need to put into that deal would be really high. You need a lot of capital to be able to access it. And probably you wouldn't even find out about it anyway, because it would go to a very select group of buyers and sellers who are used to transacting in those types of assets. Well, now with tokenization, you can say, if you're an accredited investor, say, but hopefully this goes to all investors ultimately, but you can invest, let's say, a few $1,000s and own a piece of that building. And then if you wanted to sell it, you wouldn't have to find a buyer. You would list it on an exchange and it would be tradable.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this is what blockchain allows.
Wow. Wow.
So when I say illiquid to illiquid, what I mean is you can't trade a building, right? It's illiquid. It's, right? But through this process, you can make it tradable or liquid. You can peer-to-peer do an asset transfer or a partial asset transfer.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that for lots of different illiquid assets, and that's part of the appeal of blockchain. Is it makes it creates liquidity, transparency, and automation. So that's why you can reduce fees.
Does it make it more accessible too? Like you were talking about accredited investors before. Is this, do you need to be an accredited investor in order to capitalize on this? Like that's a pretty large threshold of income that.
It is. It is. So traditionally, the answer is yes, and only 7% of the U.S. population is accredited. So it's a very small number, but the Jobs Act and Regulation CF created crowdfunding, and that allowed for unaccredited investors to invest in like startups or other assets. And so you could do that for like $10. You can raise from unaccredited investors up to $1 million under Reg CF. Now, about a month or so ago, there was a proposal to amend the accredited investor definition to allow more people other than that 7% to participate in investing in these types of assets, start real estate, because it only makes sense. You want more people to be able, as if you're the issuer, you want to reach more people to raise capital from. And if you're those people, you want to also be able to invest in these things because it could increase your wealth over time. So it makes sense for both sides. And so that's under consideration right now.
Is this only for commercial? It's not just for commercial buildings though, right? It's like for residential.
Right. It can be for residential properties as well. That's what this article talks about.
Who sets up this process? Because obviously if blockchain is not centralized, well, is it, if I own a house in middle America and I want to sell it, but like but we're in the middle of coronavirus and I already have a realtor I'm working with, but we want to set this up virtually, like on the blockchain, like what is the first step of somebody doing that? And is it the realtor taking the lead or is it the homeowner taking the lead?
It's the homeowner. And we haven't hit this yet. It's mostly been commercial properties. Then you go to, say, Securitize or another equivalent company as an issuer, or in this case, as a homeowner, and say that you wanted to tokenize the property. And so they would create a token representing the asset, and then they would make it available for sale.
Wow. Yeah. That's going to be really exciting to see become more prevalent. It's such a, wow, tokenizing, like I'm going to tokenize my house and put it on an exchange is something, you wouldn't even have imagined as a possibility like 10, 15 years ago.
Right. That's right. Because it wasn't a possibility then. It's only through this new blockchain technology that's been possible to do.
So you said there's like, every aspect of this can be done digitally, right? Like the article talks about DocuSign and like notarizing, like totally online.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was really thorough. It covered every aspect of real estate, and it showed how you know, you really may not even need a broker or a realtor. In some cases, they might get disrupted. It just could just be direct sales. Yeah, imagine that.
You brought up such a great point earlier. I mean, people book international trips, and even before Airbnb, it's not like you relied on anything except like reviews, which could be fake for all you know, before you booked something crazy. But this is the perfect time to see like what that actually looks like. I'm sure there's going to be a reality TV show at some point.
And think about it, like you can just go online and take virtual tours of properties, and you could have drones filming the outside of the properties. So, you know, if it's far away and you're reluctant to go outside for whatever reason, this is possible to do. And as you pointed out very accurately, millennials and Gen Z are used to doing this. So I see it really happening now.
Yeah, that's insane. Exciting to see. And I'm not a homeowner. Maybe this actually will be how I end up buying my first home.
Right, exactly. So if anybody has any questions on this, feel free to reach out to us and give us your thoughts and talk about what you think. Do you think real estate will be entirely transacted online and through blockchain?
Yeah, let us know in the comments or send us an email at blockchainpod@gmail.com.